Hey, Brittany, it's the new year.
Welcome to The Way with your best era hosts, Ryan McKeen and Brittany Green. The podcast where we dive deep into the world of legal business and marketing. Each week, we'll be discussing the latest trends, strategies, and insights that are shaping the legal industry. So whether you're a lawyer, marketer, or business owner in the legal industry, this podcast is for you.
New year, kind of. I mean, we're filming this in the old year, but it's going to come out in the beginning of 2025. So happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hopefully it was a good one.
Hopefully. So as we are talking to the future and we are transcending time with this amazing podcast, I am so excited today because we're going to do a timely topic, which is what trends are there going to be for marketing in 2025?
Everyone's favorite topic.
Everyone's favorite topic. I mean, new year, new me, new clients, right? How are we going to get more clients? Because it's really our belief that there are few problems in a law firm, or any business for that matter, that can't be solved with more of your ideal client.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. What do we think is going to be the top trends going on?
Well, let's talk about, I think, first, like, what is. And by the way, we got a new clock for our studio, and I love this because I lose track of time.
Yeah, we're still going to ramble, so it's fine.
We are going to ramble, but it's got this, it's a clock for the elderly, so it has these big numbers on it. I kind of like it.
I do too.
Let's talk about what is. What we see with firms, what I see a lot with firms right now is the space is getting, competitive spaces are getting super competitive.
Yes.
Cost per lead is going up. The ability to consistently generate leads is getting harder. Even things like, I think, reviews, which mattered a ton 2-3 years ago, mattered less in 2024.
Yeah.
Not that they don't matter, but like, just having hundreds of reviews isn't going to get you business anymore. Like, it's almost like that is getting your foot in the door.
Yeah, I was going to say that's just like getting par, because at this point, those are the sort of metrics that the majority of firms that were already understanding what needed to happen for their marketing were already doing that. So yeah, right, getting reviews and trying to beat each other out on Google LSA, it's already happening. You're sort of hitting this level where you can't really go much further. So we have to start to look outward here, outside of Google, essentially.
Yeah, we crushed it for years on Google LSA. And, this spring at the law firm, we pulled our LSA because it was garbage. And one of the things, I've been at this for too long, but one of the things used to be there were like long lead cycles. So if you started blogging, blogs were good for a good 5, 6, 7 years. And then other things came along. If you were on social media, if you were on Facebook in, 2012, 2013, massively underpriced attention, and you could dominate Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, if there's any sort of good idea, that window closes in like a matter of weeks online. And that makes it harder. It makes it like you have to constantly be moving, constantly changing. But I think not all is lost. I think there's actually a ton of opportunity, but it's going to require law firms in 2025 to think a little bit differently. Because I think the theme for 2025 for marketing is the big trend, the macro trend here is diversification away from Google.
Absolutely. I think we're already starting to see it from everything from the lawsuit that's pending with Google of their monopoly and what may be happening with that. But then also just as we're seeing now more with AI, people are going to ChatGPT, they're going to Perplexity to start searching for things. So I think sooner rather than later, we're finally going to see Google is not going to be the end-all, be-all of where people are looking for answers anymore. And the greatest thing I think about looking outside of Google now is going to be that it's not just the firms that have figured out how to trick Google or how to hack Google to come up in searches, looking at the ways that you're going to come up in searches in these other places. And I think the cool thing about these other places is that they have this bigger focus on things like brand identity and looking outward to offline marketing that then ties back into that online marketing.
And Google, I don't think is going anywhere.
No,
I
of
mean,
course
it's still,
not. No.
When we talk Google, we talk, YouTube and all the various ads and SEO and LSA and everything. One of the things I think that is sort of key is that Google itself doesn't return a lot of value to the searcher. What do I mean by that? There's not a whole lot of value in PPC ads for somebody searching.
Right.
It all looks the same. It may just be clutter on their search. It may be distracting to them. They may scroll through it. And honestly, the landing pages that convert for PPC, they're not sort of value ads. They're like, hey, you've got this problem, this, and this. And maybe value is in the eyes of the beholder, but it's not super valuable attention. It's kind of sort of generic. And I know when we were doing marketing with a firm, it was always like, how do we add value to the recipient of this? Whatever that is. And I never felt like an LSA ad, which, here's our face with, you've got 450 reviews, was tremendously valuable. But I think more and more, I'm turning to Perplexity because it does add value, right? And I think the classic sort of example is when you Google recipes and you're like, hey, I want to know how to make baked macaroni and cheese. And you get this 5,000 word article written by somebody with all these ads and irrelevant content, and it's SEO spam. Who makes the best macaroni and cheese? Macaroni, you're like, no. I just want to know, do I key it for 375 or 425? What cheese is optimal, right? I want to know a good recipe. And both, Google Gemini and ChatGPT and Perplexity are giving you the recipe. They're distilling that noise and they're giving the value to the consumer. So I think that is where this is all heading. And it's going to be more critical for firms to find ways to add value through their content, through their outreach. I just think more than ever, because those 5,000 word mac and cheese recipes, people are not going to be visiting those sites anymore.
Yeah, I think it's nice to see that we're trending away from just keyword stuffing content for the machine that is Google. By no means are we saying stop producing content for your website for keywords and, wanting to rank. But we need to be, if you aren't already, also doing this, which is shifting a lot of focus on giving value, making sure you are aware of who you're giving value to, right? Who is your ideal client and how are you branding yourself to those clients? So brand identity has always been important, but now more so than ever, I think we are heading to that direction that if your firm does not have a solid brand identity, that needs to be a goal for you in 2025.
No question, because the search, these AI-based search engines are going to give you the answer. What are the 5 things I should do after a car accident? It's going to just tell you. It's going to tell the consumer, right? So yes, if you're coming up in links, and yes, if you're coming up, but in general, yes, it helps establish you as an expert without question. Keep doing these things, but like the reviews, it's not enough. It is threshold. It is what you called par. I think it's let's go through for our listeners. I don't want you thinking all is lost. I don't want you canceling your SEO contract. Look, if PPC is converting, keep doing it. It will continue to work. In 10 years, Google will find ways to make money. I think you're going to be safe there. But what we're talking about is diversification. You touched on something that I think is so important, because brand at scale is incredibly expensive to build. So if you want to be a nationally known company, oh my gosh, your marketing budget, the amount you have to invest, the amount of time that you have to spend investing in your message coming up is incredible in a very crowded space. So you have to define your ideal client, right? So you have to go narrow. So things like even trying to rank, we're in a small state, trying to rank for Connecticut personal injury lawyer. I think ranking for, Glastonbury, where we are, which is a town of like 30,000, that is going to be even more valuable. And establishing yourself in the community as a go-to. So you don't have to be all over billboards. You don't have to be on TV all the time, but you want to be the one in the local Facebook community or communities that you serve, where if somebody has a problem, everybody says that's the go-to firm. They're the best firm. They're the ones you should call. Make them your first call. And that is brand. And I think people are less trustful of search in general. So if you get, and when I say brand, and there could be lots of different definitions of it, it is essentially reputation. What is your reputation? This is a place that will treat me right, that will provide good service, that is communicative, and people know who it is that you are. So you need those two components. It's not just good enough to do great work. People also have to know who you are. So identifying your ideal location, your ideal client, narrowing it down and focusing on it, I think is step one for just all sorts of opportunity for marketing in 2025.
Yeah, I think when people think brand far too much, they think, your brand is your logo, your brand is your name. That's such a small piece of, that's your company, but right, your brand exactly is your reputation. It's the value you provide to people. And that is what you want, right, your ideal client to know what you do, what you offer, and how you offer it. So having that local voice in the community is, I think, underrated. It's always been underrated, but even more so now, and people aren't realizing how much this trend is going to take over, I think, in 2025. And also how to connect that community piece to why it matters and makes a difference to the online world.
That's all right, because I think these worlds are blurred. And I think even in 2024, I didn't buy one. I admire my own restraint on this. But like the Apple headset, the AR headset, this idea that tech and online and offline is merging, that's actually a hardware merge. But I think there's a software merge because you really want people to be thinking of you in your firm as opposed to just a real estate law firm or something like that. You want them coming to you. Like you need to be the magnet, right? And so there's a whole host of opportunity there because, look, we come from the highly competitive personal injury space, and firms aren't going to actually do the things. These big national firms don't have the resources to essentially have a great ground game. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about getting out in the community. I'm talking about giving away backpacks. I'm talking about showing up and volunteering and putting those efforts out on social media. I'm talking about connecting with community leaders. There's a lawyer out in Ohio who I think is doing this. I'm going to keep it nameless here, but I think he's doing a fantastic job where he will send his video crew into restaurants to help them do a promo, right? And why do that? Because restaurants can employ, 10, 15, 20 people. People know restaurants. They can have social media followings. And if you're giving to them, like you're adding value, like it's going to come back to you. So those are opportunities that, look, the Morgan and Morgans of the world just aren't going to do in your backyard.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of firms don't understand the connection. We talk to firms and they say, oh, I sponsored the Little League, or I did this because I know I'm supposed to do these things for the goodwill of it. And they don't understand why they're useful to be building your brand and to be helpful with your marketing. So to make sure you're connecting the dots between, we've decided you can go and sponsor the Little League, but you want to be out there at the game. Maybe you want to sponsor ice cream truck, for one of the games as well, right? And so you're there, and you personally, people at your firm are there, watching the game. You've got shirts on, you've got the ice cream truck, you're giving out the ice cream to all of these people, and then you're documenting it, right? And you're putting it on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, and you're doing organic or boosting your organic posts. So you've got the whole neighborhood seeing it and thinking, oh, who are these people? And I think that's the piece that a lot of firms miss, where you can't just go the few feet to throw some money and sponsor the Little League. You need to go that extra mile, which is not costly. The most it's costing is, renting the ice cream truck, spending a couple hours on a weekend or outside of the office hours. And yeah, putting in that groundwork, putting, the boots on the ground to go that extra mile and get the actual marketing effect out of it.
And I think that leads really into at least the second point I want to make. I'm sure you want to make some points, Brittany, but the second point is I think you're going to start seeing more small, and I'm talking firms under 10 and bigger than that, hiring full-time in-house marketing people. Because look, I'm a lawyer. Lawyers get very busy. It can be hard. And even if you have the free time, you may not have the energy. You're like, do I want to spend it standing by an ice cream truck on a Saturday, or do I want to go fishing with my children, right? So, by the way, I don't fish, but I'm just, somebody out there may. So you really have to, I think about pulling maybe some of that money off of Google, pulling some of that money off of Meta to make videos that maybe people don't watch or don't care about, and bringing that in-house where you do have somebody who is getting out of your office, because nothing great happens in your office. Like great things happen out of your office. And if you have somebody dedicated to spending more time out of your office, to me, you don't, as a lawyer, as an owner, don't necessarily need to be the one building 100% of the relationships. And I think it's a big mistake that a lot of small law firms make, where they think the only relationship can be with the owner. And it's like, no, you are very important as the owner, no question, but you want them building relationships with your firm, your team, and your community, and that may be better done by somebody else. Yeah, and also, far too often, another part of what people think of as brand is, because most law firms, it's, the name of the one lawyer that founded the firm. That's not sustainable, right, long term. If you're saying, this is the McKeen Law Firm, and Ryan McKeen is the face of Ryan McKeen Law Firm, and so therefore he, no one's going to know what this is unless his face is there front and center, his name is front and center. That's not to say, obviously there's restrictions in many places where you have to have your name as, what your firm is called and everything. So that's not to say you can't have your brand be your name, but to feel you can only brand with your face, right, is a mistake, because you want to be able to have anyone who's part of your firm be able to go out and promote for you and promote your brand. So yeah, getting too focused on it has to be your face, it has to be your name, can cause issues in your marketing for the long run. I'm going to tell two stories, which is how we sort of got there. And I'm going to give you an example of what it is that we did. Brittany led this up. So like the first example I like to give is when I didn't have like anybody dedicated to doing marketing, and we were signing 2 cases a week, and the phones rang, but not all that much. One of the things I did is I took somebody who was essentially an admin and said, here's a list of chiropractors in the area. Go out and give them Girl Scout cookies, and just say that they're from Connecticut Trial Firm. And this person did. And as is the case with most of these things, we gave out maybe 15 different chiropractors. Nothing happened with 14 of them. And one of them became one of our best referral sources, like referring, anywhere from 5 to 10 cases a month, strong relationship with them. And it was born by having somebody get out of the office and give out Girl Scout cookies. The second thing, and Brittany executed this so well, was we did Project Backpack last year. So we identified some schools that were lower income neighborhoods. And what we did is we bought backpacks. We had those backpacks stuffed with materials, and we put in, we did some swag, but the swag was oven mitts for adults. And it says, don't get burned, call Connecticut Trial Firm with our number. The thinking there was that if the kids didn't use them as boxing gloves, they got in the hands of the parents, they will be in people's kitchens forever. They take up very little space. They cost not a whole lot. I use my oven mitts all the time. The oven mitts outlasted the firm, so we put those in backpacks. But that wasn't all we did. What we did is we did social media ads to the communities for weeks before and weeks after. So it's like, hey, we're Connecticut Trial Firm. We're coming into your neighborhood. We're doing it. Because look, at an elementary school, only so many kids are going to go, but the community itself who, relates to that is important. And then we had follow-up ads where it was showing us giving out the backpacks at the school, showing us out in the community. And that was a really low cost, really effective way to build brand. And it felt amazing for us. So I think those kinds of things can be replicated where it's not just a day. You can squeeze 2-3 months of content out of this, and it is a value add. Like, people are getting backpacks, kids are getting backpacks, parents are getting oven mitts, and it's a plus to the community, way less than the price that we were paying for LSA.
Absolutely. We did these things of course we did them to appreciate our clients.
So, let's number 3.
Oh, yeah.
Clients.
Yeah, clients.
Client-based marketing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ryan, for leading that into that next point. Yeah. So again, very similar thinking to community-based marketing is using your clients to remarket to and to make them promoters for you and to get other clients to refer more clients to you. So again, you should be doing those client appreciation events not just for, obviously, you want to be thanking your clients for coming to you and choosing you, but again, tie it into your social media, tie it into your client newsletters. So, tease the event from the months coming up to it and make sure that they're aware of it, talk about it later on. Even just your client newsletters, right? I mean, those are so important to keep you top of mind. And again, tie them into things like your social media. We would always have a giveaway for our client newsletters, and we try to tie it into something where, a funny video we had posted on social or an event, we were doing in the community, or something funny we were doing in the office. So connecting all those dots gets people to like and trust you and want to be engaged in multiple avenues of where you're at, whether it's online or offline.
100%. Also invest in improving client communication. And I mean, one of the best things, and you can look at Connecticut Trial Firm reviews, you'll find that I wrote a book called Empower Yourself. And it's a small, thin book. So if you're watching us on YouTube, not a thick book, right here for Empower Yourself. And it was basically, I wrote it over a year, and it was like the questions people have when they are experiencing a personal injury case. And we mailed out, I don't know, 1,000 of these over the years, maybe more. And, probably some people went right in the trash. But the number of people who read them and then commented on them, I think I just read a review said, I knew this firm was different when I got this book. So that kind of client-based marketing is incredible. It's a form of communication. Most firms under-communicate, so investing in it is so important. And look, I'm going to sound like old here, but when I built my practice, it was around really just providing great customer service to the clients that I had. I didn't have many clients, but you know what? It was a Christmas card to them. It was returning their phone calls. It was understanding their needs. It was they were nervous about going to court, so I would go to court with them and put them in the witness stand and show them what the courtroom was like. Those are the kinds of small things that any firm can do that add a ton of value, just a ton of value. So client-based marketing, super, super important in 25.
Absolutely. I mean, I think of almost any service or product you buy, and when I look at, reviews, more often than not, even if the product wasn't a great product, like 9 times out of 10, if there's some sort of review where someone's saying, oh, something could have been better about this service or product, but if they say something, but you know what? The customer service was awesome. They returned or they replaced the item immediately, or, they got right back to me and said they were sorry and offered me a refund, this and that. It's clearly such an important thing to everybody, having good customer service. It does not matter if your product itself isn't 100%. If you have great customer service, that's what people are going to remember.
People always remember how you make them feel. Always, and your clients should always feel incredibly important to your firm. So get out there and add value. Do you have anything more that you think are the big trends or the opportunities?
I think those 3 really are going to nail it for 2025. Who knows? The world changes fast, especially with marketing, especially online and digital. But I really think those are going to be the big trends that we'll see and that firms should start really being aware of.
I think the world does change faster. A lot of the, look, we're seeing at the end of 2024, like a rise in like a blue sky, like that wasn't even a thing really a year ago. So yeah, social media platforms come and grow, how people use it, AI-based search results, all of this is growing. I mean, AI-based video content, just a whole host of things like that are growing and will continue to grow. But the things that we have talked about, I think if we were giving a marketing talk to a law firm in 1950, and we said, look, they wouldn't understand that law firms couldn't market, by the way, but they did it anyway. We would say, look, go out, get involved in your community, be a member of the Rotary Club or the Lions Club or whatever club, your church, whatever interests you that you care about, right? Be a good steward in your community. 2, really think about providing excellent service to your existing clients. Like they're going to sit there and they're going to go, yeah, thanks. This is marketing from the future. Like these are really timeless tactics. Yeah. And look, in the 50s, like there was like the local firm that people turned to, and that was brand awareness. Everybody knows you call the Rodriguez firm. Everybody knows that because they're so ingrained in the community. They're respected in the community, and that's who you can trust. And honestly, like the rise of AI fakes and all this stuff in 2025, fake reviews. I look at reviews on Amazon products and I'm like, so many of these are fake.
Yep.
And like AI wrote this, and this is garbage, right? So I think there's increasing distrust of these things, and the increasing distrust brings it back to brand, and it brings it back to they want the local law firm. They want to know, like, and trust. And look, there are going to be firms in 2025 that kill it through billboards and TV and radio and SEO and PPC and all those things. So those things are all going to work. They're all just more expensive. But for, I think, the vast majority of firms, there is a giant ocean of opportunity if you take action. And, probably in the 50s, they wouldn't have understood bringing somebody in-house. They would have said that, well, it has to be the lawyer. So there's a little bit of a twist on that. But I think having an in-house marketing person is going to be a big trend in 2025.
I agree. I think bringing it local in all of those aspects. Like you said, I think more people are realizing the divide and the distrust of the world online, and we're now more than ever looking for community and people we can trust in our community. So absolutely, that's where it's going to be at.
Yeah, and it's always useful to think of macro themes, and in 2024, with the election, obviously lots of distrust of institutions, lots of it, like big trend, and no reason to think that law firms or the legal process or Google doesn't get lumped into those things. So be trusted. So Brittany, we have a clock, so I think we're somewhat on time for what we hope for an episode. So what is it that you are consuming?
All right. Well, as of filming this, we're just coming back from Thanksgiving break here. And so, of course, on Black Friday, I had to go out and get the Taylor Swift Tortured Poets Department anthology vinyl. I'm a vinyl person. So, obviously, I have been consuming all of the extra songs as if I haven't already heard them on Spotify streaming or Apple, wherever you stream. But now I get to hear them through the beautiful sounds of vinyl. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, that is most lovely. I'm going to take it slightly less lovely. I'm going to do two things. So I watched over the weekend this JonBenet Ramsey documentary.
Oh, I do need to watch that. It's on my watch list.
Yeah.
Granted, I know like so many. How much do you know or knew about JonBenet Ramsey?
You know, I knew very little, except for the fact I worked at Walgreens at the time she was murdered.
Okay.
And so I was a cashier, and all of the tabloids were like JonBenet Ramsey throughout the spring of 97.
Yeah.
I think it was 97, but
something like that.
Like all over the place, JonBenet Ramsey. Like I never followed it in any which way. I didn't really care, but it was like a massive thing in, I think, the spring of 97. And, you know, I know nobody has been arrested for it and it's been unsolved, but I didn't really watch it. But then I went into it this weekend.
I mean, did it seem like they had a lot of new, like, evidence or, like, what? Well, I mean, because I have my theories of...
So here's the thing. I don't know if it was so much like new evidence, but I mean, it was put together in a way. Let's put it this way. It was put together in a way that was very pro Ramsey family. Okay. So I think like for me, like I didn't really have any knowledge of this.
Okay.
And I walked away just feeling like that poor family. Like this was awful. I don't want to give away too much stuff.
Yeah.
But, and
that tells me a good amount though, because there's definitely been different.
But I've seen on social media, other people have this reaction. They're like, oh my gosh, this family got ruined by the media and by the police, and this is terrible, and they lost their daughter. And so that is like the real slant of
that one.
Of the documentary.
See, that's a different take than a lot of them that have been out.
The documentary doesn't really offer much in the way of like solution of who's done it. But then I like go on Reddit and there's this whole JonBenet Ramsey forum and they just pick apart the documentary.
Well,
and they're just like this and this and that and this. And I'm like, you know, I'm left just feeling like it will never be solved. Like nobody will be arrested. But what's your theory?
Well, I'm of the theory that it was the brother.
The 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe that theory. And also, I mean, that's your opinion.
Yeah, well,
we're not getting. Obviously, obviously, it's of my opinion that the evidence seems to suggest it's a likely possibility because the whole intruder thing just doesn't quite add up from any evidence that's ever been out there. I mean, in fairness, I also am a little judgmental of pageant moms who force their daughters to do what they did. So I'm definitely not a Ramsey family apologist.
Well, but you're an open-minded person. And
I'm open to, and that's the thing. I'm open to if there's evidence that,
if you watch the documentary, I think you're like, you'd be like, it doesn't make any sense why they did it. But anyhow, we're not solving the crime here today. No. I did walk away this weekend having gone through perplexity, like, what about this? What about this? And Reddit, I am of the opinion that absent somebody confessing to it, like legitimately, this is something that is a terrible tragedy.
Oh, absolutely.
And will not be solved.
Yes.
That's the sad-ish, like, divergence. But our friend John Barry wrote this amazing book called Veteran Led. And I am starting to read it. This year, I have not done as much reading as I would like, but John and his Berry law firm out in Omaha represents veterans across the country. John himself is an Army Ranger, and I mean, like, that's really cool. And he writes this book on leadership. So John was incredibly helpful to us. We were in a mastermind. He helped us organize some of our data because he runs a larger firm than ours. And I am, I'm at the beginning of the book, but as I am with John, I am very impressed with this book. So if you are looking for a good book on leadership and it resonates with you, I do recommend that you pick up this wonderful John Berry veteran-led book, Military Leadership Lessons to Help Your Team Survive, Thrive, and Dominate. If you work with me, you will know that one of the things I will discuss with you is how the military, in the systems and the processes and leadership, there's so much to be gleaned from it for law firms in general. So do that. Someday I text John and I hope to go out to Omaha to see him, to have some steak, and to go to a Nebraska Cornhusker game. That is what I want to do. But I'm not just saying buy his book because I want to go to a football game with him, but do.
Yeah, we'll try to remember to link it in the comments or in the description of the episode.
So happy 2025.
Happy New Year, guys.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Way with Best Era. Be sure to visit our website, bestera.io. From there, get more resources, insights, and to connect with us directly. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. That way you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep striving for your version of success.